Well, I still don't have my voice, but I do have to talk about this because Elon Musk did go on 60 Minutes on CBS and had another interview. I don't think it made as much of a splash as it usually does because maybe we're just kind of desensitized to all of this stuff. But definitely some interesting notes that I've taken. I just watched it again, so let me go over them with you guys and tell you what he said, what I think it might lead to, and also get your opinion on it as well. All of this is coming up next.
Taking over the world, electrifying the world. E4 Electric.
Welcome to E4 Electric, your number one source of unbiased electric car news. Go ahead and click on the subscribe button down there so you don't miss anything moving forward. Also, if you subscribe to this channel, you will find out what I sound like when I have my voice back, which should be any day now. Okay, so Elon Musk went on 60 Minutes on CBS. I don't really know why he does these. I mean, on one hand, I like it because, he's trying to be out there in the mainstream media and maybe defending himself and just kind of pushing Tesla forward, which is a good thing. I'm not really sure if the way he does it, though, is beneficial. So the show starts overall by the host kind of outlining to us that only a few years ago, and I agree with this, Elon Musk was an innovator and a visionary and a hero essentially, but in the last year or so, he kind of turned into kind of this irrational, billionaire guy who says weird things, and unfortunately, that's mainly true. Now, in the last few months, I was actually pretty happy how he has been conducting himself, including the last shareholder meetings. I thought he did a great job, and I thought he continued to do a really good job from that moment on. Um, but this interview maybe is a bit of a step back. So let me go, through a few things. Now, he was pretty defensive all throughout the interview, and I would have rather have him just be more positive and tell us more about, Tesla. Now, of course, it was within the setting of the questions, but I felt like he could have prepared a little bit, knowing that those questions were coming, and kind of give us a little bit of calming answer, something that we kind of wanted to hear to put it all behind us and to make sense of it and just move on. Um, Now he did say, obviously they were addressing his tweeting, and he did say that this is the way he expresses himself, like some people express it with their hair. But then he also said, well, Twitter is a war zone. And that's why I'm going after some people, including media. Uh, well, a funny way to express yourself, a funny platform to pick to express yourself, which is a war zone, right? A hair salon, for example, when you express it with your hair, is not a war zone. So I wasn't really sure where he was going with that, but I really do think that the better answer would have been, hey, listen, I'm trying to be transparent with my customers, and I appreciate that. And I'm more transparent than any other CEO, and I want the direct communication with my customers, and that's what I'm doing. And that answer would be genuine, true, and I think very positive. I would have loved for him to say something like that. Um, Now, one of the more famous quotes was about SEC, of course. And before we get there, let me just remind you guys that this show and this channel is sponsored by Evanex, the aftermarket accessories for Tesla. And they are not in trouble with SEC at all, so you can shop there with confidence. There's a discount code in the description of this video, so go ahead and grab it so you can save yourselves a few bucks during this holiday season. All right, so his quote about SEC was that he does not respect SEC. And I don't know if there was more stuff that they cut out, from the show, but I would have loved to know if there was some why. I mean, SEC obviously has its faults, and there's some political things that people accuse him of. But I read the entire SEC filing, and against Tesla and himself, and I have a video about it, and I found it very reasonable. There are quite a few things that he has violated, and I thought his punishment was also within reason as well. Um, I would like to know why, and I don't quite understand. Like, SEC will still continue overseeing Tesla because it's a public company, and oversee him because he's a CEO of a public company. I'm not quite sure why he is creating maybe a little bit of a problem for himself, where they can take it to heart and they can maybe keep closer eye on him than they were really planning on. and I'm not really sure if it's going to benefit him or Tesla or this community. Um, I don't see how that statement would have really progressed his agenda or made anything things better. I have a feeling he might made things worse for himself, just simply stating that. So I don't know where he was going with it, but I wish he didn't say that. Going through my notes again, um, he basically was asked about the new chair, which is Robin Denholm. She was she was one of the directors already, but per the settlement with SEC, she becomes a new chair. And the host was suggesting, well, maybe she was put in place to kind of keep an eye on him. And I guess maybe that was the idea, but Elon basically said, "Listen, I'm the largest shareholder, so I can really control what happens with this company." Now, he is the largest shareholder, however, not technically true because I think he controls about 22%, um, which means that the board can still vote against a lot of things, including even ousting as a CEO. So I'm not really sure where he was going with that, but overall, he is in control of this company, and he showed it many times as he's in control of all of his companies, and I think that's a good thing. He's definitely the visionary. He's definitely what the company is all about. But I'm not really sure again why saying this, which is technically could also not be true at some point, um, really made any difference, any positive difference. It was an interesting moment where they were also talked about his childhood, and he admitted to having a really horrible childhood, violent, also emotionally abusive father, which I think we've known. And you kind of think like, how much of that is maybe driving him as an innovator, but maybe how many of these things are kind of coming out now when he's under stress this year. That was an interesting quote. Now, he also kind of doubled down on this whole life and death thing of Tesla earlier this year because of the Model 3 production and ramp up taking longer than they've expected. Um, I already mentioned it many times. I don't think Tesla would have died even if they needed more money, even a lot more money. I think he would be able to raise the money easily. Obviously, the Saudi Arabia fund was knocking on his door, so he definitely had some options. So I'm not really sure why he keeps saying that the company could have died. I don't think it could have died. I don't think it can die. I think it's here to stay. So it was kind of weird to have him double down on that. Maybe he knows something I don't, or we don't. But I don't see Tesla dying no matter what. Going through my notes further, um, I really like the comment that he made about being at the factory. And this is what Silicon Valley lacks now. It used to be this way, but it lacks now. And that's why Silicon Valley doesn't innovate anything anymore, if you think about it. He basically said, listen, during the tough times, no matter how hard my and how difficult it was on my employees, I made sure that I come out there and made it even more difficult and hard on me because I'm the guy in charge. And Silicon Valley used to, and it's great. This is exactly the type of boss you want to have, right? That will take more hardship than you to get to the same goal. Silicon Valley used to be that way in the beginning. That's why you saw so much innovation and so much excitement from the workforce. Unfortunately, it's no longer, and I'm pretty sure you noticed that Silicon Valley hasn't invented much in the last 10 years or so, maybe Uber, but everything else. And this is because we don't have this kind of attitude anymore. So I loved hearing that from Elon Musk, and good on him for that. He also pointed out that the $35,000 version of the car is about 5 6 months away. He keeps moving it, right? So okay, we're still 5 or 6 months away. And the host kind of called him out on it and said, "Listen, did you just set another deadline for yourself that you may not be able to reach?" And he said, "Well, it's a guess. I don't set deadlines. It's a guess." And she said, "Well, a lot of people believe you're not guessing, you're lying to everybody." And he said, "No, I'm guessing, and I'm pretty dumb about making predictions. So you shouldn't take my I think he said idiocracy or something like that over my honesty." And I'm paraphrasing, but I thought, okay, honest, obviously, but then if you're really bad at predicting stuff, then stop doing that, right? One of the things I liked it in the last a few months, he kind of stopped doing that, right? He even during the conference call, he kind of stayed away from questions, or at least from answering questions. When, how, when, he just kind of, and I really like that. So I'm glad he got called out on it. I'm glad he was honest in his answer, but maybe at some point, don't say 5 or 6 months away. Uh, but yeah, kudos to him about addressing these issues. Now there was a funny moment, I guess, funny unquote. They were test driving the Model 3 with the autopilot, and it was changing lanes, right? He was demonstrating changing lanes, but I don't know if it was the angle of the way they were shooting, but it totally looked like the car cut off another car behind it while it was changing lanes. So not sure it was a best moment, but check it out if you have it still on your DVR or on your YouTube. It does look kind of funny. But anyway, so nothing major. Not sure what the main goal of this was. I think he could have handled some questions better or just not addressed them at all. But there were some really good moments, so I like that. Let's see if he does this again anytime soon. Hopefully not. But and also let me know what you guys think. I'm kind of torn. There were some good things, there were some bad things, but I think we're all kind of getting used to it. Anyway, let me know in the comment section. Other than that, see you next time, and remember to stay charged.